What's up, everybody? Welcome to the High Level Husband Podcast. I'm Tommy McAllister, rolling by myself today, guys. I actually wanted Diane to join me on this one, but she had something else that she was tied up with at this moment, and so it wasn't just going to fit into our schedule today because we're super regimented on how our days and our weeks go, so we can't really move too many things around or that moves something else around. And so we're rolling solo on this one right here. But guys, I know this message right here is going to hit home for a lot of guys. And I'm going to actually just start it here with some of the things that are actually happening in me and Diane's life that I noticed, which then prompted this podcast right here. But one of the things I hear, and it's not what's happening in our life, but from men is like, obviously they're frustrated with sex and intimacy in their relationship. And honestly, a lot of wives are too. I've heard that from plenty of wives over the years. But it's just the connection that's dying between the couples, and they're so frustrated with each other. There's resentment, there's bitterness, there's, like I said, no connection and all that other stuff. And especially once they get to their 40s, right? Like I hear that from so many people that it's like, well, once you get older, marriage just, it just kind of plateaus. The honeymoon phase is over. Well, if you ever notice the honeymoon phase, when is the honeymoon phase? When you first get married. When you get first married, what do you typically not have? Kids. You don't typically have kids when you get married. Now, our culture is different than today because everybody's like getting married like 3 times, so many blended families, all these other aspects. And so it's the dynamics different. Or you started having sex before you were getting married. And so maybe you got pregnant and then you had kids before you had to get married. So all the doing things out of order. God is a God of order. It's either his way or the wrong way. There is no other way. It's God's way, right? And so if you wait till you get married, but even if you didn't, I'm just shooting this straight. If you wait till you get married, you don't have kids, so you're connecting. When kids come into the picture, things get really clouded. You need to make more money. All the time goes to a lot of time goes to the kids, all these other aspects, and people get their priorities wrong. It's what we teach. It's why our program is so successful. Is we reorder men's lives and marriages. God, self, marriage, kids, business. And I'm not going to tell why all that is right now. That's a whole nother podcast and other aspects, but kids, you heard me say that, and there was fourth, right? Well, most people will make their kids first or second. A lot of men put business first, and a lot of women put kids first in those aspects. And so because of that, the honeymoon phase, they say, dies off. Well, if you didn't have kids, it would keep going as long as you keep doing the things you're doing that you connected in the beginning. Well, oftentimes it's like, hey, I'm in my 40s now, and kids, that's when your kids typically start leaving home, right? They're 18-ish, depending on when you started having kids. And they're either going to college, they're getting jobs, or even if they're living with you, they're still living their own lives. And so your lives don't revolve around them anymore. Well, that's typically around the times people say, oh, well, as you're getting older, just intimacy dies off. Marriage is the connection's not as good. And, oh, it must be premenopause or menopause. Not that that's not a real thing. It's just not an excuse to not still be connected and having that connection with a spouse. We've seen it plenty because of this program. And because of that, but people just use those as excuses instead of just going, let's look at the real thing. We let connection die, and because connection died and now the kids are gone, we just say, oh, we want to use an excuse because it's easier to use an excuse, because when we use an excuse and pass the buck, it's not on us. Instead of saying, no, well, it is on us, and it is on us to fix this. Not no menopause, not no as marriage just gets older, it dies off. No, it's on us, right? And so why isn't it just correlation? Honeymoon phase tends to die, they say, and then it's like, oh, but ironically, that coincides with kids. And then, oh, when kids leave the house, it's like, well, no, it's because of menopause. And it's like they always have that excuse. Stop that. I'm stopping that on this one right here in this podcast. Because here's the thing. Let's just get real. God didn't design marriage to be child-centered. The primary covenant is between husband and wife. Kids are meant to be raised from overflow of a strong marriage, not the glue holding it together. And so many people just stay together for the kids. That's the reason why is you got to keep it together because of you two. And that's how the kids stay together. That's how you prevent kids from having terrible lives. Is when you have a strong marriage. But if you don't have a strong marriage, your kids will have a way harder life. Promise you that. So check this out. So past couple months for us has just been like, our life just gets better and better and better. And I just love what God's doing in our life. But with that, as he's giving us a bigger and bigger mission, it's like who can trust a little can be trusted with many. He's giving us bigger platforms, bigger everything in our life. The podcast bigger, our content's bigger, our events are bigger, our coaching programs bigger. All of these things are bigger. Now, with that being said, that comes with more responsibility. Well, so for the longest time, what really made me and Diane so special, especially over these past 5 years, we did everything together. If I go speak at an event, she comes with me. If I was in a men's mastermind, she came with me and just was at the hotel and then went to dinner with us and did all the things in the evening. And so that's the way it's always been. But over these last few months, life was just getting busier because we had more moving parts on our plate. That I started. I went to coach an event. I went by myself. Um, then the next trip we took it with the kids. Like we went to the kids, and we all stayed in the same. We had actually a cottage where we stayed at this time, but it was still really small. It was like a small little cottage, and so yes, we had sex. The kids were in the other room. We were in one room, right? But with that being said, it's still not like that much connecting. Then the whole trip, in that month, we, for that week we were on that trip, we were doing everything with the kids. Then came back, we had a couple who's moving out here, who's now starting to work who came through our program, got their lives changed. Now he's going to start working for our program, and they're moving out to Vegas and all these other aspects. But they were with us for a few days, so we didn't get to connect as much because we were doing things with them. And then it was like, we just had these things with the kids. And then it was just like these things after that. My point was saying is this: we just had things with the kids or things with other people, but not things just directly with us. Now, with that being said, guys, I want you to let you know this: we still get our quality time in daily, no matter what. That's great, but there's got to be such a level of deeper connection. And so during this time, opportunities, events are popping up. People want me to come out to go here or there and all these other aspects. And I started thinking, man, I got such high level guys in my life. I love bringing these dudes with me, so then they can be prayer warriors with me. We got like double the amount of male authority there. And I bring them, and I was like starting to brainstorm of who the guys can be that now are going to start coming and traveling with me more. And in that moment, God was like, dude, do not bring your wife on these trips. And he didn't say don't bring these other guys, but kind of leaning towards that is like, bring your wife. I'm enough that you need, and I'll speak enough authority through you, but let your wife be there. That's how you guys got to this spot. And that's why you guys are set apart from, majority, if not all marriages out there. And it's because you guys do life together. And so I started noticing a little disconnection between me and Diane because of just how busy it was. And I was like, this isn't us. And not that we were arguing or anything like that. We were still having sex and things like that. But I'll be real with you. The sex wasn't as like mind blowing. It wasn't as connecting. We were doing it just because that was like routine to a certain sense. And I was like, this is weird. And we would talk about it, and we would, we chalked it up as other things. And what I realized was I just got too busy. We weren't connecting and doing things together as much anymore. And so, yes, the intimacy was like coming down in the bedroom. Just different aspects of the day was coming down different. And I was like, that's weird. And then so we just had an amazing men's event out here in in Vegas. A couple weeks ago. So good. At the end of the event, I was like, yo, when are we doing the next one? I'm thinking October. We're going to do a women's one, maybe a week before that, and all these other things. And all that, I was just plotting the next thing. And then me and Diane, we went out for our anniversary. It was our 19th anniversary. And so we went out for our anniversary, and we were like, let's plan out the second half of the year. We have nothing on our schedule for the second half of the year, really. And then we want to get some trips in with the kids. We have some ministry events we want to do. And so we went out to dinner and we started talking. It was like all of this stuff that we needed to put onto our calendar. And it was just a ton. And then God really just told me, he said, Tommy, he said, plant your feet and don't move. Like, don't do anything, like moving forward in other aspects. He said, and just multiply everything I've given you in this moment. Multiply your marriage, multiply your time with your kids, like your connection with them and discipling them, multiply your fitness, multiply your social media, multiply the podcast, and multiply pouring into other men, and multiply your program and do all that. But don't be like plotting the next men's event. Don't be writing a book. Don't be doing anything like that. Just multiply what I've given you right now. And he is. And it's crazy what's happened since he's given me that word. And it's also what's been happening since that night me and Diane went out to dinner for our anniversary a little over a week ago. It's like our connection is just like just starting to connect way more. And I told Diane, I said, hey, I want to cancel this trip that we were going to do to go out and do podcasts and go do this ministry trip out in Texas. I go, let's just cancel that. And we put a trip on the books for me and her to go to Disneyland with the kids. And we're going to still do that. But what was really hitting me was like, we need to be even more intentional about what we're doing together, because we used to have so many trips alone just together, because we would pair the ministry trip with a trip for us. So we'd stay an extra day or two longer and stay at the beach or go do something like that. And it would always just be me and her. Well, this year we've done a lot with the kids, and I've just watched that start to impact, because the way you connect when you're around your kids, my kids are 17 and 15. Like, so we can have pretty high level conversations with them. but it's not the same type of intimate conversations that you have with your wife, because then now it's the four of you connecting back and forth, but not just one-on-one of you, just connecting with each other. And because of that, I started noticing that the connection, not that it was dying, it was just simmering a little bit. And so I'm just framing this up for you guys that I was noticing in my life. And this is what I do for a living. And I know this, it just slowly creeps its ugly head in. And so you have to ask yourself, why am I feeling maybe a little disconnected? Why is the intimacy in the bed not as good? Why are these things happening? And because of prayer and solitude that I spend with God, and then I'm so connected with him, he gives me these words. And then I go, I'm listening. That's what it says, never cease praying, listening. He who has ears, let him hear. I hear this, I put it into action. And so now I know, okay, hey, I need to do the next trip with Diane. I need to do this with Diane. I need to do this with Diane. It's going to be about me and Diane and not about us and the kids. And it's tough because there's so many trips I want to take with Diane and the kids. It's like, I'm not a big traveler, but I also know it's nice to get out. I live a life here in Vegas that we love, that we don't really need a vacation from, but it is sometimes nice to get out. And it was like, man, we've never gone to Europe as a family. That maybe be fun. We should go do that. And we were starting to look up some locations. And I said to Dan, I was like, man, it'd be just so awesome to go do that together. And then I said, but it's frustrating because I want to go do that. But then I'm like, also, I know the kids would really enjoy going to Rome or going to somewhere else and doing these things. And I just love spending that time with them, that I don't want to miss those opportunities as well. But what I realized was I can always do those things. And as they get older, because I still did things with my parents as we got a little bit older as well. And I was just like, maybe they miss out. Or maybe we do 2 trips. Maybe we don't go as big on we do 2 smaller trips, one for them and us and one for just me and her. And I had to really make notice of that because, yes, I want to be able to see my kids, see their faces at the Roman Colosseum or other aspects. But I also want to see my wife's face and me and her growing better and better and better every single year. And so I just took a notice of that. And so, guys, I'm going to jump into some benefits of connecting with your kids and the negatives of not. Benefits of connecting without your kids, and then the negatives of connecting only with your kids on a regular basis. And it's what most people do. And people can't get past it. And so many people say, but this, but this, but this. No, we do travel sports and it's awesome. And our kids are learning about God, but it's like, but how's your marriage? Are you using the menopause excuse? Are you saying that as you get older, you just get fat? Are you using the worldly excuses? Because if you are, you got to ask yourself, am I putting my order in place? God, self, marriage, kids, business. Am I doing that? The answer is no. And if your marriage is not a 10 out of 10 getting better and better, if your faith is not getting better and better, if your fitness is not getting better and better, if your business isn't getting better and better, but I'm doing these things with the kids, you need to see what's growing. Because you win in those areas, I promise you your kids are going to be winning. You're showing them how to do it. Because what is caught is taught. I promise you that. So let's just dive in just real quick and knock these out. So 5 benefits of connecting without the kids. 1, you're just going to have deeper intimacy. Time alone strengthens your emotional, spiritual, and physical bond. I promise you that. You've heard me, you've done the podcast. You've heard me do the podcast. If you haven't, go back and listen to the podcast I did. I can't remember the name of the title of it, but it was on emotional. It's the trinity of intimacy, of spiritual and emotional intimacy is the main aspects, and physical is the debit card that draws from the bank account of emotional and spiritual intimacy. You need to be connecting on all those. And if you're connecting spiritually and emotionally, your sex life with your wife will be through the roof. I've seen it time and time again. I promise you it just happens, but you need to be connecting emotionally and spiritually. You cannot connect at high levels and deep levels with your wife when the kids are in the room or the kids are in the car. Yes, it's better than nothing, 100%. But it is not going to take you to great. You might be good, and good is lukewarm, and lukewarm gets spit out. Your marriage will get spit out eventually, because then you're just one argument away, just one person giving your wife attention away, or one person giving you attention away from it getting bad. And I know you don't think that will happen. Believe me, I've seen it too many times. How did we get here, they say. But when you keep it at great, even if it gets a little bit, like I just said, me and Diane had, I don't want to say a hiccup, but just like I started to fizzle just a hair, we were still in a really, really good spot. And I don't like that. I'm going to keep it in the on fire spot. So we went from being at a 10 to an 8.7. And I was like, that's not acceptable. Back up to a 10, right? And so it's really cool what's happening in that. So it will keep your intimacy there. But it starts with the spiritual and emotional intimacy, and that will lead to the physical aspects of it. Stronger leadership. It shows your kids the right order. God, self, marriage, kids, business. It shows them that this is what it is. Our kids know, and we explain to them why we do specific aspects. We have family meetings weekly. We explain to them of what's going on in our life, what we're pursuing, and we tell them everything of our life. And we've always done this, and it keeps them in the loop. So they know that it's not like, hey, kids, we just don't like you as much as us. No, they know the benefits of us doing this, but they also get to live the fruits of doing this as well. They get to live it. And it's really, really cool for them to see that. And we're setting them up for success. Long-term stability. When kids grow up and leave, the marriage remains thriving. So when the kids are older and they're moving, hanging out with their friends more, or they move out, or whatever goes on, our marriage will still be killing it and growing, rather than be like, well, now we need to start the fire up again. Maybe there's just a little, it's like when you let a campfire go out and there's just a little bit of an ember still there, and you're trying to get it going. It's so hard at times. Or maybe it's already just a forest fire, and man, you're just letting that bad boy just keep ripping, and you're just growing it. That's what it should be. Not like, well, I got to restart it back up now. No, because you have done so much damage. Promise you will be offended. You'll have resentment. You'll have bitterness. You'll have all that stuff. And good luck unwinding that if there's 18 years of it. You can. It just takes a long time to do. It's the kingdom example of this for it. It prevents bitterness and resentment. This is literally what it is what you guys do is when you're in this right here, you are now being this couple that's a kingdom example. You don't have bitterness, you don't have resentment, you don't have frustration, you don't have rejection. You just have each other in this great marriage, and everybody's like, yo, what's going on with these dudes? They're killing it. Nobody else is killing it. They all fake it. These guys are actually killing it. Actually killing it. Had a guy who came out to our marriage event, and he's been in the program, and he's been growing, and he's on fire for God. He's doing these things. But he said it was really hard when he came out for this men's event. He said he got rocked by God. And God rocks us in different ways, not always just rainbows and ice cream. It sometimes convicts us. He said it was really hard for me because I saw a man who's living his life fully surrendered to God, and the fruit of that in his family. And he's like, dang, I've dropped the ball. And he said it was really hard for him. But it's also the eye opener. Now it's the catalyst that's going to help him grow. Right? Because I'm set up, I set myself apart. I set our marriage apart. We live this to the fullest. This isn't for show. This is who we truly are. And nobody can say that we're not. Nobody, not one person can say that. Because of that, it's an example of what's possibility when you put God first. Seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all of these things will be added to you. And fifth, you'll have joy and adventure in your life, man. It just keeps fun, romance, and spontaneity alive beyond responsibilities. Life can be a bit hard at times. It can be heavy at times. Especially in ministry, you're out there taking territory, you're doing these things, or you got bills to pay and all these other aspects. There's demands of life, or your kids have things. But what's going on when you just keep joy and adventure alive? It's fun. I make my kids laugh all night long. I make my wife laugh all day long. We're just having fun together. Can't do that when you got bitterness and resentment and you have no connection. You can't. And then there's no intimacy, so it's all there. And then there's no leadership. So it keeps these things alive. So you must prioritize yourself above the kids' stuff. You can miss the kids' games. You can miss the kids' practices. Now, don't miss all of them, but you have to look at their schedule and say, hey, well, this is probably not going to fit into our life, kids. Sorry. Our life isn't about playing, traveling sports, or it's not about being at dance recitals 3 nights a week and all these other things and practices and driving you all over the places. Hey, we can do something that fits. I want something you to do, but it got to fit into our family mission. Me and mom need to keep this together so we can advance the kingdom, stay grounded ourselves, and advance you guys and teach you in the ways of the Lord. And do these things. So we're showing them those things. We have to prioritize these things. You guys have heard me talk about this before. My son was doing a rock climbing class. It was 2 hours on Tuesday and Thursday night. Well, so what would I do? I would go with Diane to this rock climbing class. And what we would do is we'd drop my son off at the front. He would go into the class. We would sit out in the car. Now listen to this. We live in Las Vegas. Summertime, it's 100, 110. Guess what? That means some people go, oh, well, it's too hot in the car. You can't just do that. You got to go inside. And they would find some BS, weak, docile man excuse instead of it being a dude who's masculine and a violent person taking the kingdom by storm and just not letting those excuses happen. What do? We bring our dinner with us. We sit in car. Yes, we turn AC on. We do that. Or then your car's running. No, I don't care. We're going to sit in the car and we're going to talk. We're going to eat. After we eat, we go on a walk, our connection. Then we get into this class for the last hour or 45 minutes of it. He knows that that's what's going. Well, can't you guys do it inside there and eat while you're watching? Yeah, we could. But then what are we doing? We're stimulated by him climbing, or other people, or the music in there, or other people are trying to talk to us while we're in there. And we're not actually connecting. There's a big difference between that type of connection and the connection when you're sitting in the car alone, just together. You try to justify it, and I guarantee you've justified that crappy excuse I just said right there. Oh, no, we really connect when we're in the crowd and we're watching our son's baseball game. Oh, yeah, I'm sure you're really having deep conversations, vulnerable, getting to understand and know each other so well. Now, if you've already done that, absolutely go to the game. But it's not. But if it's going to be either or, you got to pick and choose sometimes. It's just what it is. Because if you don't, the negatives of it is a shallow relationship. No conversation, awkward and non-existent. How you doing? Good. How's the salad? Good. Ambiance is in here. Good. What time are we doing the kids? You become roommates. By the time 8 o'clock comes out, you're checked out. Weak intimacy. Affection and romance die because all focus is on parenting. Does your wife want you to touch her butt? Does your wife want you to just playfully come up and grab her? Probably not. All day long, I'm doing those type of things to Diane, and she's doing those type of things to me because we're just joking with each other. Had sex last night, and this morning already we were like, yo, how about last night? Dang, babe, blah, 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 and just making funny comments about it and just all these other things and just enjoying each other. How's that working out for you and your wife? You guys can do that? No. You're not in a spot to do that because there's no connection. We have no resentment, no bitterness, no nothing, because all we have is connection. So there's nothing blocking that. When you have bitterness, resentment, exhaustion, all of that, there's a wall that's in the force field around your wife and around you. So then you try to come in, it's like, zzz. She's like trying to pet a rattlesnake. Identity, you have an identity crisis later. When kids leave, couples feel like strangers. You're confused over order. Kids will become the center, not Christ in marriage, creating disorder, out of order. And when something's out of order, it's broken. And you're showing your kids the wrong order. They're going to go repeat this same exact thing. Because look at your life. I guarantee you're going to say, well, nobody ever showed me this. My parents did X, Y, and Z. I had a father wound. I've done this long enough that every single time I do a men's event, there's always the same exact things that have happened. There's always two in their life. A father wound and some type of sexual thing that happened in a young age. Always, every time. Always. Well, the parents weren't living that way. The parents weren't living that order. So you are going to be the chain breaker. That's what I love about this program. It's basically a chain breaking program. The buck stops with us, guys. We're not passing it to our kids. Because if you look at Diane's parents, divorced. My parents should have been divorced. Terrible stuff. Them all the same thing, basically, in all of their other marriages, and a lot of bad stuff happened. It stops with us. And you just become, if not, the last one is your bitter and resentment. One or both spouses feels unseen, unloved, and undervalued. And because of that, now you have all this resentment and bitterness, and that blocks it. So that's that. How do we overcome this? How do we make sure this has happened? I've kind of given you guys a lot of just things how me and Diane are doing it through this. But one thing is we have to prioritize quality time daily. As you heard, that wasn't enough for me and Diane. I mean, it is to keep us at an 8.7, but we needed those other things as well, right? For you guys, start with that. It's literally 20 minutes a day. No phones, no kids, no distractions, and preferably on a walk so you're not looking around the house and seeing the dishes or the kids coming in or this happening or you're seeing all the other things that you have to do. It gets you out, and it's just walking gets the blood moving. And when you get the blood moving, you feel better, the fresh air and all this. I promise you, it's a game changer tip. You see different things on the street. You talk about that car. Oh, man, that car is ugly. Or, man, that house is really nice. I'd like to da-da-da-da. And it's like, oh, you remember when so-and-so used to live down that street, blah, 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 blah. You start talking. It really becomes cool. It's easy conversation, which then can turn into vulnerable conversations. You do that 7 days a week. Well, then now if you did it for a 20-minute walk, I prefer a little bit longer, but if you did, let's just say 30 for easy math at 7, what is that? 3.5 hours? 3.5 hours of connecting with no distractions a week. That will compound effect by the end of the year insane amount of hours that you guys just have connected. That will be spiritual and emotional time. That will be so many different aspects. You guys will understand and know each other so well that there will be no longer assumptions. It'll be presumptions, because presumptions are based on facts. Assumptions are based on nothing that's a fact. So then when you get into assumptions in your mind, well, they probably think this. Well, they're just doing this. You always do this. And it's not even the truth. So you do this quality time, it builds up. It's awesome. I don't like it when people say you need to do date nights, because I don't like date nights is because when they say to use date nights, they're meaning that's the time you're connecting because you're so busy and you have no other time to connect during the week. No, that means the date night is a bonus to the quality time that you're doing daily. 5 out of 7 days a week is 71%. Daily, 100%. So the date nights are just bonuses on top of it. Trips without kids. Don't always do everything with the kids. Yes, you want to give them an amazing childhood. Trust me, I don't know about your kids, especially when they're younger. They can have a box. For Christmas, they get all these presents, and then all of a sudden there's a box, and they're playing with the box or these other things more than they're actually playing with the toys they got. It's like they're so easily entertained. They don't need trips around the world. They don't know how to need all that stuff. They don't need the craziest of things. Simple trips are just so important for them, or just daily stuff with them. And the last one is just clean up your schedule so you can fit this in. Make it a non-negotiable. Sit down, talk about this, and make it there. You're the leader of the house. Make it happen. If you don't make it happen, your wife won't. Because I'm going to give you one real quick story and I got to get out of here. Men have to be proactive. We have to set the tone. Women, when you leave it up to them, I'll use this example right here with dinner. Just yesterday, a client of mine, his wife's been struggling with depression. And so he works, she doesn't. They're in their 50s. She's basically, I don't want to say stay-at-home mom because they don't have kids, but so she doesn't work. So there's not a whole lot of purpose in aspects of their life. And so she's become a homebody to a certain extent. And she doesn't have faith. He's growing in his faith since he's come into the program. And what's happening is she's been really struggling with depression. She'll drink a couple of nights a week, not too crazy, but still a few drinks, so definitely that's not good. She's been struggling. And I'm like, well, what are you guys doing together outside of the house? And she's like, well, she's really introvert. She doesn't really want to go out and all these other things and on those things. And I'm like, and I'll ask her, I'll say, you want to go to dinner? And she'll say no. And then I'll say, we should do something. And she'll say no. And it's like, so I don't know, man. And I'm like, all right, well, that's the problem. You're the problem, bro. I'm like, don't give her the option. Say, hey, babe, this Friday, we're going to do X, Y, and Z, and it'll be awesome. Here's what the restaurant we're going to looks like. Here's what the dress code is here. Here's what the type of food they have. We're going to go here. I've lined up this, this, and this. You've lined up all the details, but if you say, hey, babe, you want to go to dinner on Friday, she's going to think, well, I got to find somebody for the kids. What am I going to wear? I got to find a place. Where should we go? I don't know what I want to go. And if you say, yeah, I don't know, babe, where do you want to go? Do you want to go to Mexican? Do you want to go to this place? Now you're putting all of these pressure on her. Now that's not you leading her. That's making her make the decisions. And it's making her be stressed out. Women can't handle that stuff as much. And just like women can't make decisions. Yes and no. It starts to make them think about all of those things. What am I going to wear? Like all these other things. They put all this stuff. And it's just easier for them to say, I don't know. It's just stay home. I promise you that plays in their mind. And whether they say it or not, that is. Women need to be led. Women want to feel safe. So when you say, babe, I've got this, and this is what's going to happen. Good things go. So he says, dude, I was going to go. So he rides BMX bikes as well. He goes, dude, I was going to go to this national this weekend out. Ironically enough, it was in Vegas this weekend. He's like, but I stayed home and I didn't. And he's like, dude, I took your advice. I just told my wife, I said, hey, Saturday, we're going to go over to the coast. We're going to spend the day out there. This is what's going to happen. And then we're going to come back. So this is what we're doing. Guess what? He said, dude, she had the best time. We had so much fun. Guess what? No depression. She don't need them antidepressants and she don't need that alcohol. She needed a man with some balls that would stand up and lead her and say what we're going to do. Not how talk like into it to her like I just did there, but saying, hey, this is what's going down. You give her all the details. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be fun. Just spontaneous. Be ready. We're making it happen. But because you know what she likes to do via quality time, you've already been stacking ideas of things she would like to do out there. But if you don't know, that's how you become a mind reader, by having quality time. And so they go, they have a good time, they come back, and he's like, dude, it was so amazing, bro. And I'm like, yeah, now she's learning to trust you. So next time you say something, She'll be like, oh, last time he did X, Y, and Z, it went well. Okay, I'll do it again. But if every time you just give her the option, where are we going to go for dinner? You want to go do it? Again, it picks up that PTSD, the anxiety, all that stuff comes up. So just saying, hey, let's go do this. But you've been listening, so you know when she says, oh, there's this new restaurant that's opened up on the other side of town. So-and-so's been telling us about it. In your quality time, you've been listening. Even though you're not talking about going to dinner, you make a mental note. Hey, this Saturday, be ready. We're going to go out. I lined up all of these details. We're going to go to that new restaurant that you said so-and-so went to. I checked it out. The menu looks awesome. I think you're going to love some of the dishes on there. We're going to make it happen. Like, that's you being the leader. It's small things like that. Oh, that doesn't go well when I do it. Yeah, because you ain't doing all the things. It's probably for you. You probably ain't listening, so you don't know where she wants to go. Even if you know where she wants to go, you still did it wrong. And even if you did it the best way and she denies it, you got to keep doing these things. Don't act like a wimp and get all frustrated when she says no. Oh, I know it. You don't ever want to do anything I want to do. And you're going to just think to yourself, this doesn't work. Or you just keep doing it. And you respond good. You keep building. She'll get there. So guys, I know that was like a sidebar topic. Make it happen. Make it happen. Real men make things happen. Weak men wait for things to happen. Guys, go do it. I love y'all. It's possible. Blow the roof off this life. And if you want to become a high-level husband who's on fire, free, and followed, click the link below. Look into going through the selection process to get inside of our program of elite men and elite coaches. Go through it. If not, rate this podcast 5-star if you give you value. And if you're on YouTube, give us a subscribe. It really, truly does mean the world to us, guys. We're trying to take this and multiply it to disciple as many men as possible so we can change this world. All right, guys. Love y'all.